Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 3 replays in the Mercenary Tier 10 Premium Tank Destroyer, the Nemesis. Now if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the Nemesis, it is one of the Warhammer 40,000 tanks. It's basically an E100 with a weird gun. Now, when I say basically an E100, it looks like one, but armor-wise, it is a lot worse. So it has basically the same camo as an E100, but your turret armor's worse, your hull armor's worse, you've got roundabouts the same mobility in terms of the top speed, but you've got slightly better power to weight. The real difference is in this cannon that it gives it, because you have, if you've seen the Technodrome that came out recently, this was the first tank to have such a weapon system where you get a standard round that has 700 alpha, a premium round that has 875 alpha, and a third shell that has 350 alpha, all for the same penetration at 310, and you get different reloads per round. Now I tend to take full premium and then 20 rounds of the 350 alpha as well, because I just prefer that for switching between 2 rounds as opposed to 3. Also, I feel like that higher alpha for this ever so slightly longer reload by about 2 seconds is more worth carrying all of those, as opposed to just hitting people for 700. I can hit people for 875. It gives the tank a little bit more of a strength. But the thing with the Nemesis E100 is that lack of armor that it has compared to the standard E100. Now, number one, great that they've done that, because naturally it means that it doesn't completely invalidate the E100 like the Technodrome did with the Manticore. But that lack of armor really does hurt it quite badly, as you still have terrible camo. By the way, pixel shots. Get out my game, AVRE. Duh. But yeah, that lack of armor hurts it, and you have no camo to back it up, and having the same mobility as an E100 is really quite hurtful for it, which means that you get the attention of the enemy team, they just slaughter you. But you don't have much opportunity to get out of the way because you don't really have the mobility. You can't out-stealth anyone because you don't really have the camo. It's kind of a bit of a pain, realistically, for the Nemesis, and it's kind of one of those things that I do wish it actually had better mobility in, say, a 40 km/h top speed instead of a 30 like the E100, so that it just had that something extra in terms of its speed. Because the thing with this tank is it's a very good gun on a terrible platform, and that's just the way it is for the Nemesis. And especially for about 17,300 gold, yeah, that's a painful amount of gold to spend on a tank that's not that great realistically. So what are the stats of the Nemesis E100? Well, it's got a 30 km/h top speed with a 15 km/h reverse speed, 1200 horsepower engine, which is 10.82 horsepower per ton ratio, which means it's very slow and sluggish. It really is. It's slow to get to its top speed. It doesn't, like, reverses pretty decently. 15 km an hour isn't too bad, but it's slow to that top speed. You've got a slow top speed in general at 30 km an hour. It's slow, okay? Your ground resistances don't really hold the tank back too badly, though, which is okay. 24 degrees a second on the hull rotation is slow, so the tracks do turn very, very slowly in the Nemesis. You've got 461 meters of view range, which, again, is actually quite low for a tier 10 as well. But you're a TD, so you tend to expect that. But for saying you've got 409 meters of still concealment, which is pretty dreadful, that means that you do struggle to spot people at times, and they will outspot you very, very easily, and it can be pretty annoying for the Nemesis. You got 21.89 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed with the build that I run, which is slower than the tracks again, and it is very slow to turn the turret, just like the standard E100. 0.44 accuracy during rotation is actually pretty good, though, for the Nemesis, meaning that the aim circle doesn't bloom out too much at all while you turn the tank, but you do have a 1.93 accuracy during movement, which means the aim circle does bloom out quite a bit, as you're seeing here, when you move the tank, which can be a bit of a pain. You have a 2.27 second aim time as well, and that's with helping out the aim time as much as humanly possible, which means you do feel the aim time a wee bit, and it does take a little bit to get the gun aimed in. 2.27 isn't too bad, but the fact that we've had to help it as much as possible to get it to that is a bit of a pain for the vehicle. You have 7 degrees of gun depression, which can be a bit awkward, especially on such a tall tank that is the Nemesis. And it means you do have to overexpose at times to be able to actually get the shots out in this tank, especially on ridgelines, which can be just a little bit annoying and make it just pretty awkward to play. You've got a 12.62 second reload on the standard round, which has 700 alpha. You got 15.8 second reload on the premium round, which is the round that you're seeing me use majority of the time in this replay, which has 875 alpha. And then you've got around a 6-second reload for the third shell, which has 350 alpha. You've got 310 penetration as well, which is very nice for the vehicle. It's a lot nicer than it was when it first came out, when it had 280, and it's kind of struggled at times with certain vehicles to be able to go through them. 310 pen is great. You go through a lot of the vehicles. But yeah, the general DPM along all 3 rounds is around about the same. So you don't really lose out DPM too much when you switch between each of the rounds. So that's why I decided, you know what, screw it, I don't want to take the 700 alpha rounds. I'd rather hit harder, generally more often. And if I need to fire faster or pick up a kill when someone's on about 300 hit points, I can just switch to the 350 round, which is why I run the type of ammunition that I do. And also, not having that 875 alpha makes the tank just generally a little bit of a worse E100 if you do just use the 700 alpha round. We've got 1200 meters a second shell velocity as well, by the way, which is pretty damn good for the Nemesis E100. Means the rounds do fly pretty well, and that means you don't have to give too much lead at distance to be able to hit your targets. That's something that got improved on the Nemesis as well quite a bit, which helped the tank out massively. Honestly, this tank was dreadful when it first came out, and they buffed it quite a few times. Well, they buffed it once, I'd say about quite a few times. It got buffed once, and the buffs that they gave it in terms of helping the general accuracy of the vehicle, the ammo speed as well, the shell velocity, that is, and stuff like that, just generally helped the vehicle out quite a bit to not be terrible, but it's still not great, but it helped it to be not terrible, and it means it can stand up for itself a little bit easier now, as opposed to back then when it was just absolute poo. But there we go. And as it is a tier 10 premium, it doesn't really have any bonuses whatsoever, so that can be a bit of a pain. So what do I run in terms of a crew and equipment for the Nemesis? Well, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Trap Mechanic, Rapid Aim, with the Advanced Loader, the GLD, and Optics. Optics to be able to get the 461 meters of view range, so I could at least try to spot for myself. The GLD, so I can get the aim time down to 2.27 seconds, so that I don't have to expose my tank for too long while aiming the shots in to dish out the damage. And the Advanced Loader to get the best out of the reload. All 3 gun perks, because I want to help this gun as much as possible, so I can hit these shots with Rapid Aim to help the turret traverse out, because the turret is really slow to traverse if we do not help it out. But yeah, that's what I run in terms of the crew and equipment on this vehicle. Like I say, it's down to you and how you want to play the vehicle realistically, as it's always down to how you're going to get the most out of the vehicle. So we're on to the second replay, and as you saw with the first replay, we got about 4k damage. It was a very average game for the Nemesis, realistically, very average game for any tier 10, where we managed to trundle about, get some damage and shots off, we got penned a little bit, and we just had a decent time with it. But now we're on to the second replay. We're on this map, which is Province. And on Province, well, we all know what Province is like. It's a very, very campy map. I decided to go across the BC line, which is a risky play in something like a Nemesis, because anything that's slow, like the Nemesis, can get spotted and can get caught out pretty easily as they make this cross. And what can happen is you can end up in a bottleneck as well. You get stuck on this corner that we're advancing to right here, and then you just have everyone stop and not really get out of it. So what we're going to try and do, if we can, is get to a position like C1. Because if we can get to the position at C1, which is always a very strong position to go to in any tank on this map, you can get spots and shots down the 2 line. It is an incredibly powerful position to take on this map. It's probably a little bit too good, as the opposition spawn's spot at J9 isn't quite as good, but yeah, it's the position you really want to go to, especially in anything that can be a bit stealthy. Obviously, that doesn't account for a Nemesis, because a Nemesis can't be stealthy. Well, you know, when I was playing it on stream, someone did ask what's the best camo you can get this vehicle down to. Well, if you were to run a camo net and the camouflage expertise, you could get the still concealment of this vehicle down to 347 meters, which is a hell of a lot better than the 400 plus that we've got. But it's still not great, and to be honest, you're still going to get spotted really easily with that camo, so there's no real point. You may as well just spec out to be able to make other things on the tank better, like the turret traverse, or like the gun handling, all that good stuff. But it is really down to you and how you want to play the vehicle, as always. But yeah, there's a big difference between 347 and 400, but in real terms, you're still going to get spotted really easily, so yeah. So I was going to go up to the position at C1, but we actually saw better chances at getting shots, and that is this Tiger 2 and this Death Star at the end of the road. I've got this building strategically placed in front of me, so that means I can poke out and shoot at people like this Death Star and Tiger 2, but people can't shoot back at me in return from their middle road. So we managed to get a shot into the Death Star's bar there, which 811 damage so far. That managed to shut him down, and like I said, the gun handling, the shell velocity on this vehicle is really quite nice, and that 310 pen is also very, very nice. And when you hit people, this tank really does hit them very hard, which is one of the satisfying strong points of this tank. So we see Mr. Jagdpanther, 860, he penned me, but 863 straight through that Jagdpanther there. We managed to block a shot as well, because we poked out a little bit too far around that corner, so people from that middle area did manage to shoot us. This position will lose its ability to be effective, though, by the time they push up to E8. Because if they do that, then, yeah, it's not going to go very well for us, as they can shoot us across that gap. Now, we poke around the corner. A 268 managed to slap us, as well as taking a hit from, I think it was the Tiger 2 as well. And we're up to 2.5k damage, 250 assistance. But we've lost all of our hit points. Because, like I say, this tank is not like an E100. It is incredibly easy to pen for most tier 10s. And you will just bleed hit points very, very easily if you are too aggressive. But the thing is, this tank is so slow that you sometimes have to be aggressive to be able to get yourselves into the positions to do damage. And that's the crux of it with the Nemesis, that it can't really be aggressive because it doesn't have the armor. You have the gun for it, but you don't have the mobility to sit a little bit further back and play a bit more of a TD role, because if the game starts to spiral, you can't keep up with it, which can be pretty frustrating, realistically, for the Nemesis. So we're just trying to keep our eye on where we can get shots. I don't want to poke around the corner again because, well, you saw what happened last time. We lost a lot of hit points. We don't want to poke around that corner if we can help it. We take a blind fire across the way at what was that MBTB that was hidden around the corner of that building. I was fully expecting to poke out as soon as he got unspotted, but we didn't hit him. But he did fire. He did fire, which means he's probably still there. So we're just going to aim the shot up a little bit as we poke round, take the blind fire, and oh yeah! Oh, we set him on fire, nice and toasty, crispy, roasty toasty, as we get the shot into that MBTB blind, which is always beautiful. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. If you've got an opportunity to take a shot at somewhere where you think someone might end up poking out, it's always worth a chance, because you never know whether you're going to get the damage or not. And for that MBTB, we did. So we're going to keep driving towards the enemy down this 2 line. We do have to be careful, though, because if we get spotted, it's quite easy for us to get shot in the side. But we get spotted by the Emil 1951, who we've put a big shot into. We've switched to the 350 alpha rounds. Why? Because I felt like I wasn't really going to get the opportunity to load the big gun round, so I may as well just fire the 350 alpha and keep the damage flowing. There's the MBTB, or another MBTB anyway. We get one shot into him with the 350 alpha round, and I was fully expecting him to die, so we load the big 875 alpha round so that we're ready to go after whatever is left, which is a 268 from earlier on, wherever he's gone. So I was fully expecting to maybe have him run down this road here, but in fact, he gets spotted below us. And, well, he's below us. It'd take us a while to get around. Or maybe memes could be had. You know what? We like memes. We hit him as we drop down the cliff. 871, can we survive or get the ramp? No. Of course we can't. But we did get the pen in, and that was beautiful scenes. We finished with the victory, the 2 kills, 6.1k damage, 1650 assistance damage, the second class, the high caliber, for the 1294 base XP. A pretty decent game there for the Nemesis E100. And who was I to deny the memes? We had to try it. If we could land on them, that would have been brilliant, but sadly, it didn't quite work out like that. And we're on to the third and final replay of this video, and we're here on Westfield, which is always a good map for TDs. It could still be good for the Nemesis E100, but we have the problem that I can't go to the bush that I want to go to. If we can get someone to go to a bush position like G6, G7, they should be able to spot the K-line cross, and we'll be able to get lots of damage. Now, I was kind of hoping that the AAT-60 in front of me would have been able to do it, naturally, as they are one of the best medium tanks in the game, realistically. It's basically a tier 10 medium tank in a tier 9 TD clothing, but there we go. So I was hoping with their view range and camo they might be able to poke forward and get the spots, but they've taken that more TD bush location there. But in fact, Centurion AVRE gets spotted, and with the snap we go in for 881, always satisfying getting that shot into a Centurion AVRE, because we like shutting down the stupid tank that it is. So we're waiting for the reload, as we can't quite find the shot on the oh. We couldn't quite find the shot on Mr. 705. But Mr. 705 was like, you know what? Shoot me! I like being shot. And we're never going to turn down the ability to shoot someone. So we got a big shot into that guy. Waiting on the reload for the moisture. And the moisture, sadly, just as we were firing there, lost all of his hit points. And once again, this Bayer gets spotted. And his hit points are whittling away. I'm sitting there going, leave some for me, guys. And we managed to get 491 damage there into the Bayer, securing our second kill of this game. AVRE now is making the mistake. And again, we're sitting there going, come on, get the reload in. I want to kill it. Because, again, we like killing AVREs. We just do. It's always a glorious moment. So, with the AVRE there, with whatever else was with him, I still think the 705's there. We're just going to push up. Because if they want to shoot us, they will have to overexpose themselves. And if they're going to do that, well, they're going to feed us damage, which we'll take. But in the process, we end up finding a Conqueror, and we hit him for 961. Oh, that's a roll. We hit that guy with the snap for 961. And again, that's where the beauty of this gun is. Those sorts of rolls are so super satisfying to hit. And especially since this tank is a bit of a pain to be able to get the gun aimed in at times, to be able to get the shot. So get yourself in the position to keep the damage flowing like that. Those damage rolls can be beautiful. But we are spotting the E100, we're spotting the Super Conqueror, we're spotting the Foch, and that Foch is taking hits, and we're up to 1800 assistance damage so far. Scout Nemesis, 2.3k assistance, Scout Nemesis in the house. But we really want to get rid of the 705 and the AVRE, as they can shoot us in the side, and especially if the AVRE hits us, curtains. We managed to shut down the 705, so that's one gun. One more gun is left, and that is Mr. AVRE. He is the one that we really, really want to get rid of, because then we can advance and attack the people up the 1-2 line and not be threatened from behind. So the AVRE ends up pulling forwards into our allies' fire, so I'm thinking, yeah, likelihood is we're not going to get the kill, but you know what? He pulls back, giving us the shot. So we finish off the AVRE, there's no longer a threat to the rear. We can now focus on solely what is in front of us. So I see the two heavy tanks, Super Conqueror and E100. Super Conks get shut down by the WZ-11114, so I'm going to ignore the E100 because my team along the HJK line can deal with him. And we're going to push up and go see if we can get shots into the guys on the 1-2 line. Start shooting these guys in the back and distracting them from my team as they push at them from B2 and C3, 4. Now this position is incredibly strong to take as well. I couldn't find a shot into the back of that AVRE, but all I really had to do was actually pull back a little bit and I would have had it. We get a shot into the back of the Death Star there for 887, leaving them with 2 hit points. Couldn't quite roll high enough to finish him off. I could have loaded the 350 Alpha round here to go kill that Death Star, but I decided, you know what, no, I'm going to stick with the big round, because I want to keep the Alpha. AVRE drives in front of us, second AVRE down, let's go. Always delightful to do it. Up to 5.7k damage with 2.4k assistance, and we are being detected, so I'm thinking, what is looking at me? And in fact, it's the M48A5, who is surrounded, but he's still turned around to shoot us. Wow, okie dokies. But we're still looking for targets. Mr. 4005, we put one shot into him for 924. Load the 350 Alpha round so that if he decides to pressure us, we can just poke over and finish him off, as it won't take too long to reload it. But he gets shut down. 6.6k damage with 2.4k assistance. 2 tanks left, which is a heavy tank and the TD. We don't really know, well, we don't really know where the TD is. It was the Foch from earlier. But we know where the E100 is, so we drive around the corner, finish off the E100 for our 6th kill of this game, with the shot below his tracks there, meaning that, again, we know where the last tank is. He's going to be somewhere in this corner or in the dip, so we just got to pressure it. If we find them and spot them, We might get all the assistance damage, but there is a heavy tank with us, and the heavy tank ends up spotting them up, and they get shut down by the WZ-111-5A. We finished the game with a really good total there for the Nemesis E100. We finished with the epic victory, 6 kills, 6.7k damage, 2.5k assistance, with the first class, the top gun, the high caliber, the sniper medal, and the 1689 base XP. Again, a pretty good game there for the Nemesis, but it's one of those tanks that it's a really good gun on a pretty poor platform, and it's also stupidly expensive at 17,000 something gold with the discount that's currently on sale for. So yeah, it's one of those tanks that, yeah, it's one of those. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success.